Hello and welcome to Capricorn Makes. I'm Stacy, and in this video we're just going to do a big catch up because I've been sick for the past month pretty much. I had something that just kind of kept morphing and going on and on and on, and the result has been I have been sort of perpetually sick and coughing and voiceless for the better part of a month. And I have just basically been a little couch lump or sleeping. So I'm not sure what happened to August or September, but here we are. I think I haven't done all that much doll stuff, mostly because I haven't really done that much stuff at all. But what I did do is I did make Noe a wig. It is just a yarn fiber wig. I'm really quite happy with it. For a first wig, I feel like I learned a lot. I don't think it's perfect, but I really like the color. It's sort of variegated, like really light pink and sort of oatmeal. And I think it's a bit full. I'm not surprised on that though. This particular fiber doesn't flat iron out particularly smooth, but again, I feel like I learned a lot, and I'm working on putting together a second one out of Surrey. Right now I've probably got half the wefts in. I need to make up some more wefts because I did want that one to be a shorter wig, and so I didn't want to like I wasn't sure if I was going to use the wefts and then cut them and then sort of reuse them again because they were already lined out. Anyway, now that I've got it half constructed, I've sort of figured out what I'm going to do and how I'm going to best make use of that. So that will be sort of on the agenda for some time soon. So other things that have not happened since I've been sick, I guess, are all the dolls I haven't bought. And there are 3 actually. So I was originally talking about getting a Souldoll Vito in the summer sale, because if you ordered through Souldoll, you could get the Vito and also get a head. And I knew I wanted a Lester, and I really, really, really wanted the new, I'm blanking on his name, the new boy they just released, or the Vito boy that they just released. And, but I wasn't entirely sure I was going to like him, so getting the 2 heads together seemed to make a lot of sense. And so I was sort of aggressively saving for that because I wasn't expecting to make another doll purchase until closer to the end of the year. So I was aggressively saving, and then one of my dolls that I really, really like came up on the secondhand market. And it was a Flaming Crane from Doll Legend. And I went back and forth, and I was about $50 shy of it, and the seller was like, no international sales. And I was like, you know, I bet if I am able to pay for it and have it so that she could ship it like to my mother or ship it to like at somewhere in the US instead of like shipping directly here to me, that it would work. It would work just fine. And I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I was sort of trying to figure out if I could find that $50 anywhere. And then it got sold. And it's actually Oneclay here on YouTube bought it, and so I did actually get to have my vicarious package opening as she went through. So it was neat that I was able to see the doll itself, because I've seen very few owner pictures of it, so actually being able to see it on video was kind of a really nice indicator that I do actually like this doll quite a lot, and it wasn't just the few photos that I had seen. So that was interesting. So I didn't buy that doll. I also was looking at getting one of the Doll in Mind heads. They had the Lorena heads up for sale, and I really liked that one, and I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I'm like, you know, I don't really have a particular thing in mind for this, but I actually think that I would enjoy having it as a sculpt, would enjoy painting it, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it fit my sense of style and my aesthetic, and I was going to go for it, like right at the end of the order period, which was I think the 15th of August, and I got sick again, and I basically was in bed for 3 days, or not sick, but that was sort of the beginning of my getting sick. And I sort of missed the order window, like it had already closed, and I was like, well, that's fine. Like clearly I didn't need it, and I'm sure I'll be able to pick one up on the secondhand market at some point, because I'm sure lots of people were buying them in the discontinuation sale. So I'm not terribly worried about that, but it is, of the 3 dolls that I didn't end up getting, it's the one that I actually regret the most. But I'm sure it'll turn up at some point. If I'm still interested in it in the future, that will be easy enough to get a hold of, I think. And one of the things that came from this is that Anthem has lost her body. I really love the resin match from the Doll Family A resin and the Mirror Doll White Skin. It is wonderful. I had to take her off the body for like she needed some restringing, and I actually think I need to suede her as well, because her knee just, it doesn't quite work the way it should. And I think I actually need to get in there and file things a little bit, so it's a bit more stable, because it's not even that it wants to kick, it's that it doesn't sit in the position that it's supposed to sit anyway, which is not a big deal because the doll itself poses so well. But I took her off the body, and then I realized that I really, 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 really would like that head on a bigger body, and on a significantly bigger body. Like, that particular head is large enough that I think I could probably put it on, like a 50 centimeter body. Like, I actually think it would probably fit on a Zal Love, like one of those, that size, that sort of 50 centimeter range size. There are not very many doll bodies out there that are that size. But I've seen this head on like the bigger bodies or the SD. Like I've actually seen this head on some of the smaller SD bodies, and I love it. I absolutely love it. And because I was having so many problems finding companion dolls for this story, not that I'm buying dolls just for companion reasons, but like the dolls that I was looking at that were fitting the concepts of the character were just dolls that I would be getting to fit the context of the character. They weren't really dolls that I was excited about or that I liked. And I felt that that was a really important distinction that I needed to make. And I really do want to keep her as a character, but I'm looking into some of my other options, because I would like to get her a body that I can heavily modify. So I don't necessarily want a very expensive body, because I do plan on carving it, I think. I may not go that heavily route in modifications and just paint it, but I actually think for what I want, having all of the carved lines in the body to make it feel more mechanical makes sense for this particular character. And there are a lot of dolls that I like that, while I have been looking for dolls for her story going, I really like these dolls, they're just in the wrong scale. So I think I might be able to kill 2 birds with 1 stone by doing that. And I was going to put the Doll in Mind Lorena body on, or head on this body. Which, like, when I decided to do that, like, when I was no longer getting the head, like, somehow this body, like, Anthem's head no longer belonged to this body, or vice versa, this body no longer belonged to Anthem, which is frustrating, but is a thing. And then in the end, I decided not to buy the Soul Doll, Vito. 2 reasons. One of which is I was concerned about scale, because it is a doll that is meant to go with her. Now, she is very tall for an MSD. She's like 45 and a half, I think. not a little bit taller. And in shoes or with her wig or anything like that, she feels significantly larger. And I know the Vitos are scaled up quite large. I mean, I've seen, depending on heads, measurements from like 52 to 54, which 54 is pretty big. I think 54 like does take them out of what I would be comfortable with. But Kate is getting a Unoa in from Daniel Vita Plastica soon. So in a couple of months I will actually be able to look at a doll that's in that scale next to her. So now the Unoas I think are 51 all up, which 51 centimeters, which will sort of give me an idea if that's really what I want to go along with this doll. And I'm willing to wait, you know, I mean, like, these things are enough money, and then with all of the extra bits, like, it makes sense for me, even though I was missing out on the extra head for the Vito, it makes sense to wait. There will be other opportunities, there will be other things. So the other reason why I decided not to get that doll was because the seasons are changing, and it is going into spring here, like spring has officially come, although the weather's been pretty hit and miss. It was freezing yesterday, the house never warmed up, and I ran heaters all day. Today was the most gorgeous balmy morning, and I just really, like, I was outside sort of enjoying the nice air that was not cold and not damp and not terrible. And I decided instead, oh, the thing about the seasons changing is that in the winter, I like to knit. My computer just turned on just a moment. Anyway, in the winter I like to knit. Because it's something that I can do like here. Like, I can be covered up, I can have a blanket on my lap. If the knitting is warm, like if I'm knitting something big, it doesn't get hot. Like, I don't get overheated. And in the summer I really like to spin because the spinning wheel creates air, and I get way too cold in the winter if I'm spinning unless I'm like completely bottled up. And so there is sort of this seasonal gap in skills for me. And it's not that I don't knit in the summer, and it's not that I don't knit or don't spin in the winter, but the bulk of my my crafting sort of heads that way because that's just how things go. So instead of getting a doll, I had that money set aside, and I have been putting off buying a drum carder for almost 10 years. Like, I pretty much realized right away when I first started spinning that it was a piece of equipment that I really wanted. And what it does is it takes wool and it blends it. So if I'm working from a fleece, which I have like 30 of them, so now, because I bought more at the beginning of August, because I have so many fleeces and processing time is a big deal, I decided to buy a drum carder, which costs about the same as, well, probably a little bit more than what my Soldal order would have been. So I have this wonderful little beast of a machine here. This is an Ashford Wild Carder. I haven't used it yet, but I probably will. Like, I think what I'll do, just for curiosity's sake, for your curiosity's sake, is do a video sometime soon showing sort of what this does and what the results can be when I spin. So what I'll do is I'll show sort of every step, taking it from like just unblended wool, throwing it on the carder, showing you sort of how the machine works, because it's really cool, taking it off, showing you sort of the product, and then spinning it up really quickly so you can see and then like probably show like a knitted thing. Like obviously this is going to be a little bit of a project, and I promise it won't be a long video, but it's just people ask me all the time, well, what is this, what is that thing, or what do you do with it, or how I figure, you know, there are other videos and things out there on spinning. This is not a this is not going to be like a how-to in any way, shape, or form, but it's just simply going to be a very quick visual primer for what I'm doing for myself in my own crafts, so that when people ask me on the internet, like, what is it that you're doing with all of this stuff, I can just say, here, look at this quick little montage of things that the things that I'm doing, so that when I talk about these things, it makes sense. But yeah, I bought this thing, which I've wanted one for so long, and it just made sense. I had the money sitting there, and the season for it was coming up, and I just bought it, and it's amazing. Like, I feel so lucky to, or I feel like it was a really, really good decision. Like, I'm at a point with these dolls that I have where I still have lots of things to do with them, so I don't really need an incoming doll. Like, even though I would have to wait, you know, 4 to 6 months for an incoming doll, I still feel like I'm like working on these dolls to the point, like I still have to do all the body blushing on Noe. I still want to, I still have wigs that I want to make clothes. I haven't really made clothes at all because right before I got sick, I moved a whole bunch of furniture and built a whole bunch of furniture because we completely changed up my husband's office and our board game storage. And like right before that, like we had a whole bunch of our appliances die. We had to get a new TV, we had to get a new microwave, we had to get like just all of the stuff, and new computers, everything. Like just our whole house was upside down. And then I got sick, and then we both got sick, and then I'm still trying to dig my house out of like the absolute craziness that has resulted from that. Like, it has been just waist high in board games and displaced items, and it has not been a very restful atmosphere for being sick in, I have to say. But my studio is where all of the displaced stuff that wasn't related to the move has gone to. So I have a sewing machine over there somewhere. I will find it sometime soon. One of the pieces that I'm actually really looking forward to is I found this edge fabric. I have no idea what it is. I think it may actually be like maybe a decoration off of a sheet. But I think it will be a really cute little dress for Noe. So that is hopefully what I am going to be working on. Oh, one thing that I have been doing that I can kind of show off is that I have been knitting this sweater for Miki BGD's Archer. And yes, I've been working on this for months and months and months and months and months. It hasn't actually been months of knitting. It's just been like I was having to design it and having to work in the scale, and I'm working from hand spun. This is my hand spun, so like I don't exactly have like I don't have patterns that I'm working from. I don't have like these needles need this tension, or you know, this yarn needs this tension, and all of that kind of stuff. So I've just kind of been winging it. And now Archer's a big fucking doll. He's 74 centimeters. He's very, very, very tall, and I've been working from his measurements for this. And if you follow me on Instagram, I'm sure you've seen it, but like these are the sleeves up to the armpit. Like this is a lot of doll. I don't think I've seen a big SD doll in person, so I'm working from this and I'm like, this is like knitting baby clothes. This is inside out right now. I can't really show off the pattern at the moment. Oh no, it's not inside out. I had to turn it back. But right now I'm sort of fixing, like I'm having to drop stitches all the way down and pull them back up, because I made an error. No, this is inside out. But I'm not an error. But when I was making the design, I was doing something that I thought would show up well, but is sort of drowning out in like this aggressive stripe. So I'm sort of going back retroactively and fitting it, and I'm right at the point where like once I finish that, I have 2 more rows to do, and then I can join the sleeves on on either side, and then I'm just finishing up like drafting the like shoulder and collar area, which I just finished doing the collar right up. Oh, I was going to show off my patterns, but I'll do another video when I finish it before I send it off, because this has been one of the coolest things I have ever made. Oh, I made him a scarf, but I don't think I brought it in here. I'll do a whole video on the knits when they're finished. So I hit 200 followers on Instagram right before I got sick, and I was like, I'm gonna do a giveaway. And I I haven't yet, but I plan on getting some knitted goods together for that, and so I'll probably make the announcement for that sometime in the next week or two. I'll make sure to announce it here, because it's definitely not just for Instagram. It's for everyone who has, you know, just sort of made this hobby really, really fun for me, and I'm looking forward to sort of spreading the love out there into the community for some. Thank you to anyone who has checked in on me while I've been away, or has left me a comment, or a like, or anything like that. It has really meant a lot during a time when my world was very, very, very small. And I thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you in the next one.